In this video, we're going to discuss one of the most important basic concepts of PL/SQL, the concept of a block. What a block is any code that's between a begin and an end statement in PL/SQL. What I have highlighted here is a simple anonymous block. Doesn't do a whole lot, it's just going to execute null. But because it's enclosed between a begin and an end statement, it's PL/SQL. So when I execute this code, not very exciting code, it doesn't display anything, it doesn't really do anything, but it's contained between a begin, which denotes the start of the code, and an end, which denotes the end of the code. That is the world's simplest PL/SQL block. A much more representative and helpful PL/SQL block is shown here. This one introduces a new keyword called declare, which denotes any variables we're going to use in our PL/SQL block. In this case, we're using a variable called vVariable, which is going to store a numeric value. So when we execute this code, it's going to put a 1 into that value, and it's going to display it on the screen using dbms output. Now when we run this code, it's going to be a little bit more exciting than the previous code because it's going to actually display a value. So the three main keywords here now that we've learned about are the declare keyword, which denotes the section where you're going to declare variables, the begin section, which is where you start beginning your code, and end, where the code is completed. The compiler will take everything between all of these statements and compile it and execute it. If required, you can actually embed blocks within each other. So you have a main block with this begin, this end, and then within it, it's possible to have another block. So when this code executes, it's going to execute the outer block and the inner block within it. Here's the output here. First block and second block. Not only can you embed the begin and end portions of a block, but an embedded block can actually have its own declare section as shown here. We have an outer variable. It's going to be assigned a value of 1. We have an inner variable for the inner block, which is going to be assigned a value of 2. And then within the inner block, we're going to display both of those values. So we should see a 1 and a 2 when we execute this code. Down here is our value, so 1 and a 2. Now, something to watch out for when you're using embedded variables is you can actually get away with using duplicate variable names, although they have a much different scope. The one that's declared here as vOuterVariable will exist in the outside block and the embedded block. The one that's declared in the embedded block here will only exist within that embedded block. So let's execute that code. There, we got a 2 and a 1. So when this code executed here, within the embedded block, it referred to the embedded block's variable, vOuterVariable, which was assigned a value of 2. As soon as it exited that inner block, the embedded block, it then went and used the outside outer variable, which took on a value of 1. Another situation to watch out for is you can get messed up with the scope of these variables again. I have an outer variable associated with the outer block as a value of 1. And the inner variable is the value of 2, similar to the last PL/SQL block that we ran. However, down here I'm going to try to refer to that inner variable. But that will fail because the inner variable scope is only between this declare and this begin and this end. So when we execute this code, it's going to show us an error. So there's the error message, vInnerVariable must be declared. You might think that's a little bit strange because it was indeed declared right here. But as soon as we get to this end statement, it's now officially out of scope. So when we try to output it, it won't be there anymore. The same block structure that we used in our anonymous blocks that we've been showing up until now also applies to stored PL/SQL units such as procedures, functions, and packages. For example, here's a simple procedure which I'm calling ABC, and as you can see, it has a standard begin and end. No declare is required because it is assumed that everything that comes after the create or replace is considered to be variable declarations. When we execute this, it's simply going to tell us that that particular procedure compiled. The block structure applies even more when we're actually going to run that procedure, because the call to the procedure is enclosed within a begin and an end also. So we called that procedure and it displayed hello as shown in our DBMS output section. So the concept of the begin and the end is used a lot through PL/SQL. You'll see it everywhere. Within a PL/SQL procedure, you can embed another sub-procedure in the same way that previously we embedded blocks within blocks. So the main procedure is going to be called DEF, but within DEF, I'm going to create a procedure called GHI. The main thing to watch out for with doing this is that GHI procedure only lives within the DEF procedure. It can't be called directly outside of that. Straightforward, simply compile the procedure. As you work with blocks and embedded blocks and procedures and embedded procedures, it's handy to apply labels to them so you can find the begin and the end quickly. The way to assign a label is with double carets around the label. In this case, I'm declaring a label of 1. And at the end of that block, I'm declaring this to be the end of the label 1 block. This makes it relatively easy to line up the code afterwards.